Welcome to day 2 of DynamicsCon. Thank you to all our sponsors for making this event free to our community. Get ready to skill up with our Dynamics and Power Platform superheroes. Be sure to stick around after the sessions to participate in our networking breakout rooms. Please welcome our first speaker of the day in the Power Platform track, Mohammed Mustajab, a CE and PL consultant. Today, he will be presenting plugins versus Flow versus Azure FN versus web jobs. Please stick around for Mohammed's session for a live Q&A.
Good morning, good evening, everyone. First of all, thanks everyone for joining in for this awesome session that we have. We are all part of this UG Dynamics UG community. I would like to thank everyone. I know some of you will be having dinner, some of you just woke up, and some of you are almost hitting the bed. But I appreciate you joining us today, and especially the Dynamics Con community, that they gave us the option to not only share my experience with you, but also I can expect some Q&A from you so that I can learn. So you have the option available on the right side regarding your Q&A. Please drop me a message during the session, and obviously the moderators there will be there to answer our queries. So the session that I have planned today is not a simple one, complex one. It's a simple one. I know we all are in an automation world. A lot of us here that we have multiple automations available, and this automations is used for multiple reasons, and we are hearing this like, okay, but a lot of tools exist in these automations. One is plugins, MS flows, Azure Function, web jobs. But now the question arises, which one to use where, which one to use when, and why should I use this one and why should I not use that one? Because these all 4 things that you can see right now in Power Platform are the ones that are available for our assistants, as a consultant, as a developer, as a citizen developer, to use these tools and work in a platform for providing better services, better automation services to the client. Now, I will be going into these individual areas, but if you have any questions or any queries, please feel free to drop me a message over the question window, and obviously after the session I will be definitely answering that in much more details. So moving towards the next side, this is an introduction about me. I have almost 11 years of experience in CRM, which is nowadays called customer engagement. When I started back in CRM, things were not, no one knows about CRM. It was more like everyone was interested in AX, ERP, SAP. But now, when the time passed, people started to learn the use and value what the CRM brings. And I joined at that time when people were like more interested in custom development like Java. They were like trying to slay the dragons of Java and demons of .NET and learning iOS and Android. Well, I went into a relatively small domain that was called CRM, that few and hundred people. Now 11 years onward, I have done multiple development in various areas that you can see: service integration, CLI integration, omni-channel, chatbot, and all these CRM areas that I have done. I would like you to pay a special attention on the planet. I call it the gems. It's a reference. From a comic sense, these are the green means that I will be covering a specific area. So please keep your focus on that so that you can know where we are and what type of uh, automate tool I'm talking about. So these are my calling signals, and you can call me on LinkedIn and Twitter. If you can scan the QR code. So these are my calling signal. Call me anytime after the session. During the session, we will have a good amount of Q&A session, but even in afterwards, you can definitely tweet about us after the session. And also, I will say, the Dynamics Con for arranging this whole session, and you can approach us via some queries and if questions you have in mind even after this session ends. So please feel free to scan this part and approach me. I would love to. This session is not about just me teaching you my experience. I want to learn from you guys as well, because obviously this is how we will grow for sure. So the main question, the war of automate, the topic. I say why a war because there is a war, obviously, and I will definitely make sure that when we are going down the session, you will definitely agree with me that there is a war for the automate part. So what is it? The topic is about plugin, workflow activity, custom APIs. Oh, by the way, sorry, custom API is nothing, just the actions. The CRM old guards will say, okay, this is some sort of a, just a change in naming. Yeah, the action functionality is still there. The old guards, I would say, obviously they are there when CRM was started back, CRM 4 and onwards. They are one of the oldest, experienced ones there, and they were part of a lot of development, a lot of efforts that they did. So they are there to play save their throne from automation by from MS Flow. You can know that MS Flow and similarly Logic apps are coming in and sort of giving us a taste of low code and no code. And obviously that is somehow in taking almost, not almost, but some scenarios from the plugins and workflow activity towards there. But will they be successful in doing that? That's what we will find out. Now, the fourth point is the last part is Azure Function and Web Jobs. This is also a critical part. Why I'm saying it's because this is some sort of a not part of the Power Platform, but I would say it's there as a part of the whole ecosystem that Microsoft is offering, and Azure Function and these obviously when we are going towards cloud, these play an important part in it. Now, I will give a small review about plugins. What are plugins? If they are the old guard, why I'm saying continuously the old guard, because they are there from the beginning when CRM was introduced. And I can assure you, obviously, we learned from sessions, just a sneak peek, that these plugins, I know a lot of people would think that these are maybe SharePoint, they have some triggering point available, maybe CRMs, but what is for FinOps here? What is for AX here? Well, just a sneak peek, we are expecting some same sort of update plugins and workflow activities coming in our FinOps as well. So these are the things that will exist and they will be coming in the C# format. And obviously, you can expect that this is something the old guard are now expanding their domain from SharePoint, from CRM, and towards the uh, FinOps as well. So what are their powers? Their powers, again, they are developing C#, easy. I know most of the coders, one or most of the experienced developer know .NET and .NET, Java. These are two languages that people mostly do their development. Most of them work on that. But here in our case, it's .NET and C# is a relatively language that everyone is aware of. It have the OOP concept. Yeah, I know a lot of when I used to it's a personal experience that when I used to hire fresh kids, they were used to say that they don't find the OOP concept or something like that, and they were like more interested towards core development. So that's the case. Yeah, there is there the OOP core concept, but few and far between a less exposure. Post image for image for comparison, for a field level comparison. Uh, Obviously, some things I would say the weakness of this part is for every single thing, like if you want to create sort of a web services, you have to create an envelope and use coding. Unlike the .NET ones where you just need add it as a web reference, that's not the case here. Similarly, just like you can add a DLL directly, unfortunately you cannot do here. You have to sort of a merge. It's more of a platform dependency. This makes some sort of a things that are pretty much easy to do in other C# codes like portals like Angular. It makes them some sort of a I can say a peak area for plugins. But by the way, the best part, there's no additional charge in it. There's no execution made. Like, okay, 5,000 time of plugin ran, okay, you will be charged. There will be a subscription card. That's the catch. It's available by default in a tenant base. If you buy a customer engagement license, you will have that by default, and you can use this capability at your ease. Weakness, the biggest weakness I would say that I saw when I came to online is the 2 minute execution time. What I mean by 2 minute execution time? Well, the 2 minute execution time means that you have to run whole of your plugin within a 2 minute window, irrespective what are you doing. Right? So now if it extend, and I will show you here in a short demonstration shortly, that this is something where we cannot do a big working, or we cannot use them to sort of utilize their capability when it comes to doing big data case scenario, like maybe connecting to Azure Blob and getting some customer data, or maybe connecting to another integration environment, getting the data and sort of a syncing. So unfortunately, this is something I can say is sort of a weakness. Similarly, I'm not discouraging my citizen developers fellows here, but the problem here is that this area requires some code expertise. This is not the low code, no code flavor that we all are used to and we are hearing a lot. But obviously, but I won't discourage you. Just as you have came in and you brought a lot of new knowledge via the low code platform, giving us more business insight. Similarly, you can learn that, but obviously you have to have some more experience around it. This is just my thought. Maybe I'm wrong here, but this is just my thinking. Cannot be used for scheduling out of the box way. There's no scheduling option available. You have to go via some indirect methods. When I used to work on premise, I used to create task schedulers or maybe a service to sort of run these plugins if I want to sort of a schedule, and mostly schedule by schedule I mean get the data information. Obviously, the web service invoking, you can see on the left side, there is a possibility, but again, there is an additional amount of code that you have to write, unfortunately. And that coding is again, makes the thing a bit complex. So as you can see here, now that, overall, there are some benefits, some are non-benefits. And with this, I will be switching my window towards a quick demo around the plugin part. So and this the screen that you right now see here is the customer engagement screen. That is a sales hub app that is by default created, and I'm using that. So apologies, I would love to go into power apps. That's my another favorite topic, but now I will just not going in model driven and all details. I'm just focusing more towards the power automate. So if what I want to show you is that the plugin capability. I just created a process, and I will just meanwhile this is running. I will demonstrate code. That what I did is a simple code here, in which there is nothing happening. It's just like a 3 minute thread to sleep that. By the way, this is not a recommended approach. Don't use that. It's just for the sake of example that the plugins need to be created or executed within 2 minutes range. Like you cannot use them for big data or something like that. So while this is processing, as I said, when you are designing something, there are a couple of things you need to keep in mind from a plugin perspective, that don't use them in scheduling, don't use them in sort of for big data processing, like getting data from Azure Blob, updating that in CRM, and similarly getting some data from CRM or customer engagement, my bad, because as I said, I'm an old guard, and I am used to the old word that's CRM, but it's customer engagement nowadays. So don't use that, and you can definitely uh, follow that here. That when you're designing your code, don't make sure that you overburden the plugin. So this is sort of a unfortunately a small downside of the plugin, and also you can see over here the error popped up, and you can see ignore the starting part. It's the standard error messages, but you see at the bottom, plugin within 2 minute Windows limit. Okay, this was the error that I was more wanted to show you. This is the out of the box exception that was kept in. So this issue can come in our case as well. So once you're developing an online plugin, workflow activity, or even action, please make sure that you keep an eye on that, and don't override or complex the thing via a complex code. So switching back, but I would love to hear from you. We have the chat window on the hour, and let me know if you agree with me or you disagree with me. Then no, I know old guards will be saying no, plugin is there. I can optimize the code, but yes, but for me that's just my thought. Now moving towards the newcomers, the new sheriff in town. That's the MS Flow. Well, MS Flow is, I would say they really helped us to bring us on the map of world. Like in a sense, it's really quick to adopt, and it's really easy to handle. The citizen developers can easily, a lot of citizen developers came in, and instead of now we focusing more on the complexity of code or writing a code, now we are more focused on how to collaborate, how to use that data. Like our now focus is more towards you know solving a problem rather than planning out how to sort of develop that in a coding format. Because when you start coding, you have to make sure that okay, trial, catch and try, everything is there. But in Amazon, it's all drag and drop. Your time is relatively saved here. This is the biggest benefit of it. And obviously, MS Flow, Logic app all comes in one domain, and Power Automate, Power Automate Desktop, robotic automation, all these things. Right now, I'm just not going into much detail in that part, but MS Flow gave us, a new sort of a community member that we call citizen developer. They are here, and because of that, our automation is now much more fast. And unfortunately, due to pandemic, last year we saw a lot of companies moving towards digitized, and I think this MS Flow played a vital role. And read a lot of articles and a lot of case studies. Even telcos are moving towards MS Flows, and they are able to handle it. And I can assure you, telco have the most complex processes. So it has easy to manage. There is low like out of the box connectors available with Twitter and all these things that are easily available. You can just connect them and use them. Configuring alerts is available. All these things are like you can do it in a blink of eye. But the problem is that low code and no code, sort of a flavor, which is, I know old guards like me won't like that. And honestly, there is monetary catch here as well, that I know at the start we have multiple license based per user like availability of execution. But as you move on, as you move deep, take a deep dive, this can go. So scalability is something we need to keep an eye over when we are using MS Flow. We have to keep an eye on how much our solution can go from a track. Are we expecting an exponential increase in some area? Then you know what, MS Flow is not the right choose point. We have to go to plugins or maybe alternative solutions we have to look after. Maybe Azure Function. Better error messaging. Yes. Well, this is something I feel, because when we are coding, we have, you can see that in the plugin, I have a custom error message execution. I can log them, I trace them. Such sort of a things are available, but they are not to that mark that we I can say that it's relatively easy. And for my citizen development, other people, the things get complex as we move towards third-party connectors. What I mean by third-party connectors, when we are trying to use a web service, when we are trying to consume a sort of a connectivity with in complex scenario, things get complex. And this is the part that I feel that I'm not disclaiming my citizen developers. I say that this is something you have to learn the basics of programming again to understand how to create a API REST API REST request, and how what the response means, how you will get a response and something like that. So it's again a deep dive that you have to take eventually. Similarly, premium connectors are not available, unfortunately. That's our paid ones. You have to buy, and for big integration like Salesforce, SAP, or Azure, you have to unfortunately do that. But still, I feel I have to say, as a Mando fan, that this low code, no code is the way. And definitely, I see benefits coming more compared to the drawbacks. But again, I will keep that as a discussion point. What do you guys think? I would love to hear you in the chat, and I would love to answer that at the end of the presentation, like have some discussion around it. So moving towards the demo part, I will be showing, like as I mentioned, the weaknesses and the challenging part. So I'm switching my screen to from for a demo perspective, and hopefully you can see now the MS Flow here. And this is just a simple MS Flow that I created, in which I will be calling a JSON. I will be calling a test API that that's available out, and I just will create a request, post request, and I will get a response around it. So now, if you can see over here, this is a MS Flow that, again, a customer engagement screen. I just switched back, and here I will be just going into the flow part and trying to run this one flow. So let it load. Now, what I want to show you is that if you see this flow, Meanwhile, it's loading. I'm just coming back here. This JSON call and everything, and obviously when things get complex, then you have to create an expression or something like that. Obviously, all these things are somehow more towards the area there which requires you some coding understanding and a deep dive in that. So it's not something to be fear about, but this is something sort of the quick adaptability gets somehow impacted here, because we cannot over rely to handle all the complex scenarios. We can do it, that's possible, that's my thought, but we should be not reliant on it, because for that we have to use either plugin or maybe use Azure Function, or when we will show Azure web jobs as well. So going back to the screen again, you see this is just asking me to run the workflow. Give it a second or so. Yep, the workflow ran. And if I go back here, I'll just copy this, and I will just go back here to show you the execution that just ran. So if I scroll down here, you see this succeeded around a second ago. Let me open this one. So what I did here is that you can see this was requested on account, it ran, and the JSON response was that glitch. Okay, that was I sent out to the HTTP. Sorry, the request I sent to this service, and as a response, you can see the success came and ID came according to that. As I said, this is something that when we goes into the area where we have to take a deep dive in the coding area and understand that. And obviously, when the third party connector comes in, that's the time we have to sort of learn the programming. And obviously, the try catch, when I would just want to add a try catch in it, it get complex, and we have to understand the ecosystem, how these try catch and where the error logging will be happening. So that's as I said, it's low code, no code, and I also believe in that. But to some extent, in complex scenario, I would say this is not the right approach or right pickup to resolve that. So jumping again towards my presentation, and if you have any queries, please feel free to sort of drop a message over the chat. And obviously, after the end of the session, I would love to answer that. Azure Functions, the next one. Well, Azure Functions are available on clouds. They are serverless computing point and support multiple language, JavaScript, C Sharp, F Sharp. I didn't do it any coding in F Sharp, so I'm not sure about it. But I'm going to say I did a lot of just JavaScripting and C Sharp, so I know about it. The good point is, you pay as you go, which is really good. Why I'm saying that is good, because uh, like if you have an ideal function, our function runs only once in a morning or evening, then we will be charged for that one. So which is good, by right? And at the start of each month we get some bundle sort of by Microsoft. So to run, like you can add 50,000 jobs or something like that. So that's a catch. But definitely the thing is that there is a better debugging because this is again a code, right? And you have to use the coding here, and you can sort of uh, use that code to log the errors betterly compared to, as I mentioned, MS Flow. And the Azure Function and plugin more or less have the same sort of capability, to have better logging. Execution time is much better. I think I recall in the MS Flow I didn't mention it, but I will show the execution time as well when I will be concluding my session. I have a table for that. So weakness here is that the execution time is 5 to 10, but relatively so compared to uh, the web job. Obviously, we have to. This is sort of a the standard way. We can bypass that. There is available ways to do that. You can hand over the job to another function, and this function will go in ideal state. It will be revoked back when the other function will. So there are ways to it, but this is like how MS suggests to do it. Like within this amount of time, you have to complete the execution. So again, the time sort of what do you call it? The clock is always ticking when it comes to Azure Function and plugin. MS Flow and Azure Web Jobs have better. So this requires some coding expertise and also cloud infrastructure expertise. It's not something easy to learn. Why I'm saying that? Because the coding expertise is something we more or less are all aware of, like how to invoke a function, how to add the references, all these things that I will just show you in the code is available. But the catch here is that with Azure Function, you have to learn the Azure architecture as well. So so if you follow the certification part as well, so you have to go with Azure fundamentals first. You have to understand how the Azure fundamentals, so that you know the basic administrator, because a lot of security or access related challenges comes in when you're using Azure Function. So just keep that in the back of your mind. So if you're planning to architect something on Azure Function, you have to be sure that either you or you have somebody from Azure admin perspective to assist you in all these deployment and security access, because uh, getting the admin access is not the right call for executing these functions. So you have to have all those understanding and plan laid out. And also, the last point is something my thought. It's best suited for enterprise. Why I'm saying that? Because enterprise are more into that can sustain this growth, because as your function grows, as the execution of the subscription costing and everything also grows. So you have to keep an eye on that part as well. This is my feeling, but I would love to hear from you guys. What do you think? Do you think that this is something not enterprise? You think that no, any a small 5 to 10 scale company can also use it? Do let me know in the comments, or just agree or disagree, or just raise a question. I would love to hear at the end of the session. Now, a small demonstration of Azure Function. Now I will be showing you a small Azure Function code here. So right now what you see in front of you is a simple function. Because sorry, I'm a CRM guy and a customer engagement expert. So what I did here is that connected this Azure function really straightforward to this function is the main function call, and at the bottom what I did is that sort of created a helper class in CRM, which is doing nothing, just connecting to my organization that I showed earlier for plugin and uh, plugin in the MS Flow. And this function will be just getting some contact information. So I will just demonstrate it. And obviously, as I said, from a developer's perspective, I'm also good at that. But now, when I'm planning to deploy this over the Azure cloud, this area, this is something where even I'm still learning, because as I said, this is an area where you have to get an expert opinion who's at it. So sorry about that. Let me just rebuild that. Give it a second. The awesome lightning sign will come up soon. And I really like this lightning sign. It's like, oh gosh, this is, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong here. It's not a lightning sign. It has some purpose, but right now I know this is the lightning sign. I really like that. It's cool. Lightning sign is there. So just a thought from my side, and let it load. And meanwhile, I will just go back here, and what it will do, the build is in progress, and what it will do, it will load the whole data. What I did is just wrote it over the simple write-ln command. If you can see over here, I just wrote it down as all the as an output, as a string output. So when I will open the web service, I will see that being populated. So yep. So here you see all the contact records from the CRM are retrieved here. So this is a simple way to do it, and it's really easy to do it. If you want, if you see here, the coding part is pretty straightforward. Due to time constraint, I would love to go into individual functions and explain what each individual functions mean. What I want to show you here is that Azure function, like as myself as well. Look, this is what I am also learning. I'm good at the coding part, and I can do that C sharp coding and everything. But when I'm deploying that on the Azure function, I did multiple times, but still I need some help and guidance from an admin level. So who can guide me? Okay, this is how to deploy, create the function app, and then afterwards move on to the next part. And but I will love to hear from you guys. Maybe we can continue this discussion over Twitter as well, or LinkedIn as well. Drop me a message, we can discuss, or tag DynamicsCon for this awesome event, and tell us what would this session or particular thing mean. We can discuss it even after the Q&A session. I know we have a lot of questions, and I would love to hear from you. Why? Because this is how we grow. Your questions will make me think on another scenario. Now, as your web job. This is more or less the ending, last part of the war. With all great things have to come to an end. So this is more or less the last part of my presentation. So again, Azure Web Jobs and Azure Function are the same thing in a sense that you both are serverless compute services, support multiple languages. It can be scheduled. Azure Function can be scheduled as well. It's not something Azure Web Jobs is only schedulable. No, it's both of them can be. But what I think, this is my thought. It's like a star scheduler or service that we used to run on our like servers that we used to have admin servers. Why I'm saying is that is because this one is more related to doing big things like Azure Blob, connecting to Azure Blob, carrying all the customer data and moving that customer data towards another environment where you want to update. Just like consider a ticketing service, they have daily ticketing information. They want to get that reservation, copy that, and update in their database so that marketing team can, or you can send out the. So situation like this, for these particular situation, it's one of the best thing you have. Okay, and it can be working at the background. We can schedule it. The cost is relatively low compared to Azure Function, and obviously better suited for longing run. This is my thought. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I feel it's a weakness because I don't see any benefit of using this compared to Azure Function. But as I said, this is my thought, and this is what I think. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think? Do you agree or do you disagree? I would love to hear you on the chat about this part. Some coding expertise, yes, just like so. I'm not discouraging citizen developer. I said at multiple stages, this is not a discouraging. It's a new, I would say, an Everest you guys have to climb up, and I can assure you that you can. So please do learn when you're planning to do Azure web job. Don't think that it will be pretty much straightforward, just like MS Flow, or Logic App, or Power Apps. That is more of a drag and drop. The deeper you go, the complex scenarios comes in. Does not support more debugging. Well, this is something I heard a lot. Still, as your web jobs, I'm still exploring and learning as well. So I thought that I didn't find any remote debugging option, but this is something maybe I'm missing an article or maybe I'm missing a scenario where I can do that. If you want to Azure Blob or big data, this is my thought that I think it's better suited for big cases. So you can see over here when I create an Azure job, it's pretty easy. The logic part that I understand and learn here is that we can write it in the function area that if you want to queue up our data in a particular queue to process that, and while the Azure job when we create we can definitely build it via this Visual Studio as well. There's no need, to go back and sort of advance. So if you right click here, sorry, the solution, right click here and press the publish button, this will, sort of first ask you to connect to the Azure. And I think I already have it, so maybe it will prompt up my own current subscription that is also in it. So you can see over here, it's just asking. So publish that, and it's automatically push these changes towards the. But as I said, I'm also exploring this area. It's relatively new, but I feel right now, at the start, couple of things that I feel are not there is that the Azure blob is much suited for the big data, big huge chunk of data that we want to pursue and a scheduler. But obviously, yes, down the line maybe I'm wrong here, and I will love to be corrected as well. I can use it for some other purposes as well, and definitely I would love to. So now moving back towards my presentation, as I said, this is the last question comes in. Who is the winner then? And this is a good question. Now, the question is that you can see a quick summary in front of you. I said MS Flow. In the beginning, I didn't mention it, but MS Flow have an execution time of 30 days. A job, MS Flow, if it is pending, it can stay up there in 30 days and it won't time out. But after 30 days, all the jobs are timed out, irrespective of how much count is there. They will be timed out. Similarly, workflow plugins, they have a 2 minute. Azure function have a 5 to 10 minutes. Azure jobs have a 60 minutes to an infinite number. 60 minutes depending upon if you are using a specific type of server. If you have our own personal Azure, sorry, our own personal user running the job, then it can be infinity. But if you are relying on Microsoft execution user, then it's 60 minutes or maybe 6 hours max. So it depend upon, yeah. So do explore this part when you're planning your job, because as I said, it's for big data. You have to also see it out how much data chunk you're expecting to get and how much time you need to process. So you have to keep an eye on that. Complex coding scenario, yes, MS Flow have it have minimum, because as I said, third party web service consuming, and when we want to have a proper try and catch, I think MS Flow is not the right thing for us. This is my thought, and please, I would love to hear, like, do you agree, do you disagree? And it if I go towards plugin and workflow, they have a high level of option available to write a component. As I said, you cannot add a DLL directly, but you have the option to use lmerge to use that. You don't have the option to sort of directly consume the web service in the code, but yeah, you have the option to do something, create an solution around it. Sorry, envelope around it. Azure function and Azure jobs are extreme. You can do whatever you want. The ground is open for you to shoot as long as you can shoot. Azure subscription for MS Flow, no. Plugins, no. Azure function, yes. Azure jobs, yes. But for MS Flow, indirectly, yes. If we want to use the premium connectors, we have to then buy towards or move towards the Logic app to use that. Scheduling, MS Flow have that available. Plugin, as I said, it's not available. Azure function is yes, it's available, and Azure jobs is sort of a design in a way that you can handle that. Plan type is why I'm saying plan type, because the Azure subscription is dependent upon the plan type. Okay, but if I say basic, you don't need that. But if I go with pro, you will definitely need that. Similarly, none for plugin, because they are tenant based and they are available. Consumption based Azure function, if we have plan, then yes, they have all these limitation available. For Azure jobs, I didn't see any sort of plan type. They are just like, you have to buy a Azure subscription, that's it. There's no subcategories of plan. But again, that's my thought. What do you guys think? Do you agree, do you disagree? If you have any question, any comments, yes. And in the end, I will left you with the same situation that in an Inception movie we were all left in. So it's your call, that is it a dream or is it a is it reality? So it's your call, that what do you think is the right call here. So thanks you everyone for attending DynamicsCon. It was really nice seeing you all. I wish you all the best and safety in this current pandemic. And thank you DynamicsCon and all the sponsors that organized this tremendous event. I'm looking forward to hear a lot from you guys in the Q&A session. And even afterwards, let's grow again, and hoping to see you and coordinate with you guys over LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So now I'm available for the question answer. So bring on all those question and answer, Molly and team. I'm available. Thank you. I hope you guys liked the session, and I saw some really good feedback and some interesting questions and comments there. Appreciate that, and for your attention and taking your time out. I know in some part of America, I think it's holiday day, so I really appreciate that. So I saw some of the comments on the chat related to thanking me about the session. Appreciate that, and I would love to hear from you guys again. Now, I'll be answering some of the questions that some of the people have posted here. One of the questions that was earlier mentioned, one asked by is was usage of the ill merge, option availability on the, it was like used. I think Robert Whitting, hopefully I pronounced right. Robert Witt asked that. Yeah, Robert, around that, tried to mention it out that that is available on premise. It's unfortunately not available on the online, and to be honest, I'm really happy on that. Because the challenge in the you have to go through or using this function to merge two DLLs and deploy them and work on the update. Uh, I have spent sometimes nights on this as well, so it's better that it's not there anymore. So, but there are ways around it, and to work with it. You have flow available, you can call that, and there are multiple ways you can handle it. So thanks for your question again, Robert. And please comment in case if the question, if there was any clarification required further. Now, coming to the second question that was asked, like, okay, can we connect SQL or Oracle database for doing automation? Yes, perfectly agree. And I think this is one of the area where, in MS Flow, the premium connector comes in. I saw another similar question in which Jonathan was asking, like, high level language coder he is, I think, or the business user that are trying to use, and they can use SQL. Yes, that's definitely, and for a business startup, I would highly recommend, because it's really easy for you to scale as well. So to summarize, SQL and Oracle database connectivity, as I mentioned, the Salesforce, or maybe other is SAP, all these connectors are available, but they are premium. They come with a cost. Now, the cost is something, it depends upon the licenses that you buy, Jonathan. So I will be posting a link shortly after maybe the session, then you can check it out, and also you can coordinate with me as well a bit on LinkedIn or Twitter if you have any further queries around it. But the cost will be not much. It will be, just to summarize, it will be a Canon base. You will have Canon, and you will more or less just buy the premium connectors specifically. So now coming to the another question that was posted by, thanks, okay, yeah, please, okay, thank you very much. Okay, there's one more question by by Justin. If anyone has tried to call it AWS APIs from Azure Function, I think I did call some APIs, and you know what? I'm not sure if you were able to see that, but in case you were not, you can go back to the session and see that out again in the YouTube, that that DynamicsCon will be uploading these videos as well. So I use the CRM API to in the Azure function. So similarly, it's consumption wise, it's a code again. Yeah, you can use AWS, you can use any other Alibaba Cloud, or any other specific APIs. As I mentioned, the Microsoft Azure supports connectivity with almost all available platforms and API. So this is can be done. I never did it. I will be honest here, but yes, this can be done. But it's a good, interesting POC topic that I will definitely do it after the as a learning experience for myself. And in case if I do that and find something, I will definitely share something with you as well. And coming to, I think more or less the more questions were around the okay, connecting. Yeah, Abdul Wahab. Yeah, thank you for agreeing on that. Yes, exactly. The Power Automate have the option available to connect the SQL connectors, and but again, that's a premium connector available. It's not the out of the box one that is available. So you have to sort of purchase that. Real quick, if you use this type of in combination with the HTTP listener, which is registering a serious trigger, flows. Okay, that's an interesting question, Justin. Flows run quicker if you used a TCR webhook in combination with the listener versus registering a serious trigger. Mm, I think it depends. I feel it will be the flow that will be running quicker. This is my, I never did a comparison around this, like about the execution timeline, but I would say it will be the flow of used T65 webhook will be more faster, because again, the webhook is again a coding area that you have more independent, and more optimization that you can done compared to a serious Dataverse aka for all those is I'm an expert of it, but it's still an area that have some challenges around it, because it's a comparison. I can be open about it and can tell you from my past experience. We face challenges and serious integration in real time, and so it's better that we go with the other option, MS Flow, and using and executing a webhook, or maybe a custom Azure API. So hopefully it answered your question. But definitely let me know if you have any other questions. And regarding, I think we had almost all these questions. So more or less, the questions were around like how we can use. If anyone have any question, I think we have 5 minutes more available. I would love to answer that. So I think that's it. So in case uh, I'm not seeing any question, then definitely thank you again, everyone, for attending the session. and also sharing your thoughts, sharing your comment. I also learned a couple of things for myself. Oh, okay, Hamzali, can we have limit the flow runs, or after yes, after some limit, can we notify with admin? Yes, you can limit that outflow runs. In a sense, it's again the looping thing that you have the depth option available, sort of a thing. And I'm not sure, if you want to notify about a loop, you have the breakage option available already. So you can just break that as well. So it depends again, Hamza, how you want to handle it out. But definitely, it's doable both ways. It's doable. Okay. But I would suggest, instead of notifying the admins, break the loop. That's the better way. So thank you, everyone. If we have no question, then I will request to have some coffee and join the other sessions and the awesome sessions we are having right now. And I think it's talk to you soon. Thank you for everyone for your time, and it was nice talking to you over this session. Stay safe in this current pandemic. Okay, bye.